I would like to welcome all the attendees who are joining us from around the country today. As I mentioned, my name is Nihal Samara. I'm the General Counsel and Legal Director with the law firm Kaizen Synergy, and we have been running these COVID-safe legal compliance sessions since February this year to keep people and agencies up to date with the laws and regulations as things change. Today's session is specifically focused on the New South Wales COVID-19 Northern Beaches issue and challenge that's currently going on at the moment. And we will be looking at some of the rules and legal compliance changes that's occurring right around the country. We will keep agencies up to date as the laws and rules change, and we'll be running further webinars on key topics like this as well. As always, we'd like to pay our respects to the elders past and present upon the lands on which we all meet. While this session is being run by webinar, we do pay our respects to the traditional owners accordingly. So what we have seen just in the last weekend really is a change to laws and an identification of a public health emerging crisis in the northern beaches of Sydney. And what we have seen also around the country, and this is just a photo of those taken from the Herald Sun, that passengers from Sydney having permits and IDs checked, for example, by the DHHS staff at Melbourne Airport on Sunday morning. Today's session, we're going to look at the current status. We're going to look at, well, what are the current rules that are being applied in New South Wales and give you a key summary of those. We're also going to be looking at what are the key criteria and issues that are currently going on in border towns as well too, specifically around the Queensland and New South Wales border, as well as Victoria and New South Wales border as well too. And also some of the rules that are actually being applied in different states and territories and monitoring of these as well. By attending this webinar, you will get a timely collection of resources that provide an overview of information that will be helpful to your company, clients, and also the clients you provide services to. You'll also get some information on current COVID-safe systems that other companies just like yourselves are in fact using and been using since even February this year. And we'll look at what case examples of what is working for agencies around the country, and also show you what they are doing, especially during this period of time as well. Just a few housekeeping items as well too. This webinar is being recorded all the way up to the question and answer part of the session, where we will open up the phone lines and stop the recording at that time. And more than happy to stay on the line and answer any COVID-safe legal questions that you might have. You can also ask questions in our chat group as well too, and you can see that on your screen as well too for those of you that are listening live. And these we will get to those questions throughout the session as well too. All these materials, including the webinar slides that I'm using today, will be circulated to all registered attendees, and you can watch these on our YouTube channel as well too, along with all of our past webinars that we have run. In terms of some of the dashboard requirements and dashboards, COVID-safe dashboards, we will give you access to the COVID-safe dashboards that other agencies are using, certainly with updated resources that you can use, and I'll come back to this slide as well. So let's go through and have a look at some of the specific legal changes that you and your agencies need to be aware of. Well, firstly, as of midnight yesterday, a hard border was introduced between New South Wales and Victoria. Other states are imposing new laws on travellers and people, both coming back to Queensland, Northern Territory, WA, South Australia and Tasmania, and I will cover each of these states individually as well. But firstly, let's have a look at the restrictions placed on for the Northern Beaches residents in New South Wales and businesses and visitors. Firstly, from Saturday 19th of December, public health orders apply to the Northern Beaches local government area in response to an increased COVID-19 cases. Essentially, those people in those areas and businesses are directed to stay at home with four reasonable excuses, including only to leave home if they are leaving for shopping for food or other goods and services, medical care or compassionate needs, exercise, or for work or education where you cannot work or learn from home. With that said, from Saturday the 19th of December, the Northern Beaches residents, in terms of who is included in the stay-at-home orders, these stay-at-home orders affects people who were residents of the Northern Beaches area at any time between Thursday the 10th of December at 1 past midnight and until Saturday the 19th of December 2020 at 5:02 p.m. These rules applies if you were at a place of residence or temporary accommodation in the Northern Beaches local government area during that time and are still in the Northern Beach area or left the Northern Beaches area before 5:02 p.m. on the 19th of December and are now staying somewhere else as well. In terms of the restrictions for Greater Sydney, Central Coast and Wollongong area, these were introduced on Sunday the 20th of December at 11:59 p.m. and applies to these three areas here. This information has been taken directly from the New South Wales Health website, and we will be updating agencies over the next few weeks as things and laws change as well too, and running subsequent webinars. We can see some people asking us questions on those. So this is information that is currently at hand at the moment, and we will be updating you should things as things change as well. So in terms of visitors allowed at residence, the number of visitors allowed in especially in New South Wales in a place of residence will be limited to 10 people. The total number of visitors includes adults and children. The limit to the number of visitors applies until midnight on the 23rd of December. In terms of holiday homes and short-term rentals, we are covering this off, obviously for travel reasons ahead of the festive season. A maximum of 10 people are permitted in holiday homes and short-term rentals unless everyone is from the same household. And again, this applies until midnight on the 23rd of December. However, for premises that are already been rented out to more than 10 people before the 21st of December, then people can continue to stay there as well too. There are a number of restrictions placed on people allowed at a venue, and the existing capacity of one person per 2 square meters will be tightened to one person per 4 square meters in indoor areas and a maximum of 300 people subject to the one person per 4 square meter rule. And that applies across the board to hospitality venues and places of public worship. Now, some key points for today and also midnight today, Monday night, from 11:59 tonight, all of the Greater Sydney and Central Coast has been declared a red zone by Victoria. And if you are a returning Victorian, you need to be home by Monday night, midnight. After that time, Victorians will have to enter a hotel quarantine. The road border between New South Wales and Victoria becomes a hard border with police checkpoints in place. And we are going to start to cover off now the impact and rules changes across Australia, so that way agencies are aware of what some of the rules and changes are. So people living in local government area along the Murray on both the Victorian and New South Wales sides will be able to cross the border freely, but they must show their driver's license. The local government areas include the border zone on the Victorian side are the Alpine, Benalla, Bendigo, Below, Campaspe, East Gippsland, Gunawarra, Indigo, Loddon, Mildura, Moira, Shepparton, Swan Hill, Toowong, Wangaratta, Wodonga, and Yarrambiak areas. We will cover off what's apparent on the New South Wales side shortly. In relation to Queensland, Queensland declared this Greater Sydney region to be a COVID-19 hotspot from 1 a.m. on Monday, the 21st of December. In saying that, you will see that what happens in the next few slides is reflective across Australia of the different rules that are being applied in different states and territories. So in Victoria and Queensland have divided Greater Sydney to be a COVID hotspot. Queenslanders who have been in the area were given until 1 a.m. on Tuesday, the 22nd of December to return to Queensland and would then have to get tested and quarantined until 14 days have passed from when they were in the hotspot itself. Anyone else trying to enter the state who had been in the hotspot would need to apply for an exemption specifically to Queensland. And people travelling from other parts of New South Wales need to complete a border declaration pass as well. In relation to WA, Western Australia has reinstated its hard border with New South Wales. The only people from New South Wales able to fly into WA after midnight on Saturday, the 19th of December, are those with special exemptions. On Friday, the 18th of December, authorities said anyone already in WA from New South Wales since 11th of December must get tested by Saturday and self-isolate until they receive a negative result. In the Northern Territory has declared Metropolitan Sydney, the local government areas of Central Coast Council and City of Blue Mountains and the Illawarra region all COVID-19 hotspots at 3 p.m. on the 20th of December. So you can see there is some variation on how different states and territories are actually dealing with the COVID-19 public health challenge in New South Wales. Anyone hoping to enter NT who has been in those areas has been advised to cancel their travel arrangements. Anyone who has been in those areas in the past 14 days before they arrive must enter supervised quarantine in either Alice Springs or Darwin, and also pay $2,500 per person. That includes also returning residents as well. And so we have seen in the past people traveling to some of the other states may have tried to go through other areas like Northern Territory to try and get an easier return. These states are now clamping down on those, and we can see that from these rules that we have. Anyone who has arrived in the Northern Territory on or after 11th of December has been declared hotspot in New South Wales needs to have a COVID-19 test and quarantine while waiting results. Tasmania and the ACT are slightly different. The Premier announced in Tasmania on Saturday his health officials had raised Greater Sydney to a medium level risk, and all travellers to Tasmania from Sydney, not just from the northern beaches, will be required to quarantine for a full 2-week period. In relation to the ACT, what we are seeing is something slightly different, where anyone who has been in the areas of Greater Sydney, Central Coast, Illawarra, Shoalhaven, and Nepean Blue Mountains since December the 11th and arriving in the Territory after 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, the 20th of December, will have to self-quarantine for 14 days. And ACT residents will be allowed to isolate at home. In South Australia, and this was on the news over the last few days, where people mid-flight were actually informed of the rule changes. So essentially, anyone who has been in the Northern Beaches area since the 11th of December is barred from entering South Australia. Anyone arriving from New South Wales by plane or road will be tested on arrival. Those from Greater Sydney will also go straight into the hotel quarantine with further testing on days 5 and 12. SA is introducing its travel application process for any interstate arrivals and not just New South Wales. So that applies for anyone, as they said, not just New South Wales, but anyone coming from any other state as well. Now, returning to the New South Wales border, what we are seeing is that the New South Wales local government areas are Albury City, Balnarad, Bega Valley, Berrigan, Broken Hill, Edward River, Federation, Greater Hume, Hay, Lockhart, Murray River, Murrumbidgee, Snowy Monaro, Snowy Valleys, Wagga Wagga, and Wentworth. Now, what is required here is that people from outside border local government areas that seek to travel to Albury will be required to get a permit. People from Sydney and the Central Coast will have to go into hotel quarantine if they come into the state. Victorians currently in Sydney and on the Central Coast have until midnight on Monday to return to Victoria, lest they also have to go into hotel quarantine. Now, I can see a few questions are coming up on our chat group around this, and just to answer your questions around this, yes, we will be circulating all of these slides and the recorded webinar out to everybody as well too. If you do have any questions that you are listening to this webinar after the live session, I will have our contact details available at the end of the session where you can reach directly out to us. Now, to make things easier, what we have done is also updated your Gemba 360 dashboard with this information as well. And with that, what we have seen is that your COVID safe plans and each of the attendees will get access to your Gemba 360 dashboard to get some of this information, and you do have a seat available to you to be able to access this as well. With it, we have seen, and we thank a couple of agencies for sharing their dashboard information, one being Rumballara Aboriginal Cooperative and Laurie Seville, the Chief Operating Officer out there, who we have recognised throughout the year in terms of sharing some of the resources and dashboards, and also Judy Line, the Chief Executive Officer, and also Lena Tompkinson, the Executive Assistant and Compliance Officer at Women's Housing. In this case, what you do have access to is your own Gemba 360 dashboard with all of the information that we have been talking about today. And these are available for you to view. With it, there is a list of policy requirements as well too that we are suggesting that not-for-profit agencies update. This is something that we have kept consistent right through on all of our webinars in terms of key policy areas. The most important ones today are listed here, but also importantly, updating them with the travel restrictions that we have covered off in today's legal compliance session. In terms of what you have on your dashboards as well too, you do have the COVID-19 daily assessment forms, plus also your working from home forms as well too for those agencies based in the Northern Beaches area, as well as cleaning registers, information from Safe Work, and also every other compliance requirements that you have as well. That said, what we are also seeing is agencies like Women's Housing, who have recently instigated their QR codes as well too, and that continues to be a resource for them in order to be able to monitor these parts of the changes that are occurring. And this is now apparent on their websites, which they're getting all people, visitors, contractors, consultants, and staff to also use if they are visiting any of the sites as well. With it, what I will just jump back to and show you how this works as well too, is that there is information on, and I'll just drag this across for you to see, and we have just a few people asking around this. Yes, this is a picture of myself on our Kaizen Synergy website, and your knowledge-based questions and information that we have is located on our website, and it's you are able to access these resources as well. And that is by simply going to kaizensynergy.com. It will also open up our YouTube channel link as well too, which does have a list of all of our past webinars that you can see here, and it will start off for you as well. If you do access the Gemba 360 dashboard, you can click on this link here and you will get access to this today as well. You can click on the login details. It'll ask for your username and password, which will be given and sent across to you. If you are logging in for the first time today or listening to this webinar after the session and it is being recorded, then by all means, please contact us and we will be able to set this for you as well. What you will have access to is the pandemic forms on the left-hand side, and these include the COVID-19 daily assessment forms for yourselves to use. And it does include the updated information about the hotspots and allows staff to be able to screen their themselves around it. If you also have the access to the disaster areas, which is for the COVID safe plans, you can click on this area and this will bring up your COVID safe plan, step 1, step 2, and step 3. And you can update that with the information that we have located on here for yourselves as well. If you do have any questions, you can contact us directly on the phone number listed, or equally email us directly. What we are suggesting that agencies do is to look at their COVID safe plans, look at the travel restrictions that are currently in place, and send notifications out to staff about the changes that are occurring, especially around the travel restrictions requirements as well. We do have some policy template wordings as well too around policy updates, which is around the travel restrictions as well. And we have also listed a series of updates specifically around recent changes that I have covered in today's webinar. With that, we're more than happy to stay on the line and answer any questions that you might have. I can see that there are quite a few coming through already. I will just mention that if you do have any questions after today's session, then by all means, please contact us on 1300 360 360 or email us at support@gemba360.com. I will add that our law firm is not shutting down over the Christmas period. We are actually working right through and will be like we've done over the past number of years, but this year particularly being important. So if you do have any questions around that, you can contact us on 1300 360 360 or email us at support@gemba360.com. That said, we are also helping agencies with their COVID safe plans over the December-January period, supporting agencies with service contracts and also setting up COVID safe plans and COVID safe clinics as well. So we are right across pretty much every aspect of the COVID safe legal compliance challenges and issues for agencies to be aware of. Thank you everyone for your time. And if you do have any questions, please stay on the line and we will get to you now. For those of you that are listening to this webinar at a later period of time, as I've mentioned, if you do have any questions around this, please reach out to us on the numbers listed here or email us directly.